All right, everybody out there. This is going to be a review of the TriCaster Mini. This is the new TriCaster with HDMI inputs, and I'm going to go through several of the functions of the TriCaster. Using the TriCaster, why not? I've got several cameras here, several consumer cameras, so don't judge video quality by what you see. It is full bandwidth, able to reproduce full 1080i. So let's take a look. We're going to be looking mostly over my shoulder. As you can see, it does lower third titles. You've got several graphics tracks, but we'll get to that. So let me go ahead and switch on over here to, oops. Oh, I'm going to give you a look at the setup we have here. Several different ways to go between shots. You can simply cut. You can affect between shots. So this is my basic setup here that I've got with the TriCaster. There's a MacBook Pro that I've got plugged into it. There are 3 consumer HDMI cameras plugged into it. And it works very well. It is not a dumbed down version of a TriCaster at all. You'll find that you have all of the functions that you're normally associating with a TriCaster here on the TriCaster Mini, which is great. You've got 2 tracks of DDRs, you've got 2 tracks of graphics, you've got the ability to take net inputs like other TriCasters. You can record both in QuickTime, MPEG, although I'd avoid that, as well as H.264 all simultaneously. You can record ISOs on different devices, so it's all USB 3 on the back of the device, so you can hook up several drives and record externally if you'd like to make ISOs. So a lot of options here, but at the base level it's got 4 external inputs, 3 of which I have right now attached to cameras, DSLRs and as you'll see, consumer cameras, and as well as my Mac. You'll see good old Yosemite there, half dome, easily inputs the Mac, no problem at all. So you have to go ahead and first decide what your format is. So you set the board, as you do with a normal switcher. You'll set the board in either 1080, 720, whatever your format of choice is. And then the TriCaster will go ahead and convert everything that you input into it into the board format for recording to your external inputs. And the recordings, you can't down convert a recording, so it records in whatever the board native format is, but you're able to record individual sources, different outputs at the same time, which is very convenient, as well as stream, and we'll get to that. So let me go back to the over-the-shoulder shot here. Oh, not that one. That one. Hey, there we go. So let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. You'll see this is my coffee cup. This is the TriCaster's basic display input here. Let me focus up a little bit on that. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so you can have full preview and program outputs out of the device separately, but minimum, this is your interface. So up here you've got your preview, your program, whatever you're taking. I have the audio mixer up at this point, which I'll go over. And let me, oops, sorry, a little bit better focus on that. There we go. And then up here you've got your program bus, which you can use your function keys to switch between. You've got your preview bus, which is your number keys. You can switch between preview inputs if you like using keyboard. It also comes, you can buy the separate external control surface if you want something with an actual T-bar, if you like that physical input better. You also have, well, let's go down to the audio mixer here. So audio mixer is full functional, and you've got these are your inputs here for your different HDMI inputs. These are net inputs, so if you've got computers across the network, you have to be in the same switch in order to do that, or the same router. And it'll take the audio off that source. You have your DDR inputs, your 2 record inputs here for playback of material that's been previously recorded. If you've got a commercial, you've got a break or something. You've also got sound effects there. You've got a record input, and then you've got your stream over here, plus some aux buses, and then a master. Right over here, there's a little gear on top of the audio level. Oh, this is your headphone level. Your headphone level is over here, but if you press the gear on top of the audio level, you'll notice here you have different input settings, so you can choose. There's a line level input, a stereo line level input, or the HDMI source. Now, mostly I think for most of your recordings, you're going to want to choose the line input. That will allow you to take the stereo line level balanced input from an external mixer. Most people want their mics to go into a mixer. Simply, it's a human user interface thing. You need the ability to put hands on EQs and ride fader bars that one mouse click can't do. You need to be able to just put hands on. So that enables that. Or you can choose take the input from that HDMI source. If it's a camera, if you've got, say, a single camera hooked up and you're just using the camera mic, or you've got a ballroom and the audio is coming from the ballroom into the camera, then that would suffice as well. So back on the interface here, you can pan them. It also will put out 4-channel audio if you so choose that. Processing, this is a really nice part here. You've got an equalizer right here on each individual audio channel and a compressor limiter on your inputs, which is great. Ballrooms can be pretty noisy places, so if you are able to make these adjustments with the software, you don't need external compressor limiters. So that's very convenient. And this right here, this is my favorite thing. This is the audio delay, so your inputs have the ability to be delayed. Obviously, if you're processing in between digital video and audio, your audio coming out of a mixer will be essentially undelayed. Video, because of the processing involved, will be delayed a number of frames, and you're able to adjust that to compensate for the delay of the video system, whether you're going through cameras or you're going through a recorder, you're looping through something. All of those devices cause delay, so in order to prevent any lip flap, TriCaster has put in, or Newcate Tech has put in audio delays on these lines, which I really like. So let's go ahead and close that. That's your audio mixer. Down here you've got DDRs, so these are 2 channels of playback material that you can reference. There was just a few examples in here from, here we'll go ahead and dissolve. This is just a loop from some mall somewhere. But as you can see, you can have it loop automatically back, and you can have several sources, so you can have it automatically go from one to the next. And let's go, come on. And there's the balloon. So you can easily switch between sources, between pre-recorded sources, and it'll take a QuickTime MOV, a few different formats, and we'll go over that as far as the record side goes. So back to the interface. So let's go over here and look at the graphics. You have 2 graphic buffers. As you may notice here, I've got one of them set to this lower third. I got from some prior associates at Fox News. As a PSD file, so I was easily able to make that up. But it does come with a full titler, so you can take titles from your customers, your speakers, put them in on site, save them, and bring them in as is appropriate, as well as full screen graphics if you've got bullet points or things like that. It'll do crawls, it'll do rolls. There are 2 graphic buffers, so you could conceivably run a lower third and a separate like RSS feed if you were having a stock ticker going there, or you could run a bug, consistent logo bug at the same time as you're running other material, a lower third, full screens, whatever. You can do them at the same time, which is great. Let's see. There are sound effects. I don't have any presently. So there's sound effects that you can bring in as well. And it does, let me go over here, give you the over-the-shoulder view here. It will control pan-tilt zoom cameras. So if you have like the Sony BRC series, if you've got the Panasonic pan-tilt zoom cameras, it will control them internally from here. So you can have presets. You can just click on a preset. If it's a bus shot or whatever, it'll zoom there, and then you can cut to it. So that's very convenient if you're in a situation where this might be installed in a room where PTZ units are being used, or you tend to use those on site, which might be okay for small meetings and that sort of thing. Let's go back up here. So here are your camera inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 right now instead of a camera. I've got that as my Mac, as you can see, and there are 2 net connections. I don't have anything set up on the net connections now, but that would be a computer that's coming across the same switch. I didn't have quite enough time to get my Mac on the net connection here. These are your 2 DDR inputs for material that's pre-recorded that you're going to be playing back. These are your graphics, and then you've got additional buffers over here for all of your inputs. Up here along the top, this is your time in show, or time code actually. You can reset the time code. This is recording, so that starts and stops your recording. This is a grab. You can just grab a quick screen grab if you want to send somebody a picture of somebody on camera or whatever. And then there's the streamer. There's also, this is very important, switcher memory up here. It shows you just how much memory you're utilizing in the system, and if your system resources are becoming strained, which is a great thing. Oop, let's turn that off. I had that streaming earlier. So controlling anything on the TriCaster, you press the little gear button, and it lets you into the mode of setup for wherever you happen to be. So this is the configure the stream connection, it says up here. There are a bunch of presets in here, or you can create a connection from a current URL, which is what we do for On24. If you hit the, where'd I go? Okay, this does allow you to log on individually. If you hit the little drop down here, you'll notice that I've put in a stream setting. There are some preset stream settings. You can choose one of these, or you can browse. The reason they use presets on this system here, let me get out of this. The reason they use presets on here are to control the processor utilization. So these are things that they have tested while the unit is indeed recording and it's doing the regular video processing, and they know they're not going to overload it. You can browse, you can create your own with an XML file, you can browse for it, bring it in, but you just have to be careful that your setup in there is not going to overtax the system of the TriCaster itself. You can archive the file here or not. It'll give it just a date name, or you can choose a different name. This is where you put the flash server address up here. So if I was using this, come on. Well, anyway, if I was using this device to record, or I'm sorry, to stream directly out to a media server, I put the address here, I put the stream name here. If you're using another service that requires username or password, you can put it here. You can also import settings, so you can save these settings and then just import the whole thing if you regularly go to a particular site. So very convenient, although I will say, as a high volume webcaster, the one thing I would appreciate is a tool that allows me to go in and adjust frames per second. It adjusts the keyframes on those streams so that I have control over that, rather than have to use the presets or write an XML file and then reboot the computer and reboot the TriCaster and bring that system in. I should mention the TriCaster system here does indeed run on a Win 7 platform, so it seems very stable. When you boot it up, it just boots right into the TriCaster itself. It doesn't give you you can go into an admin option, which will give you more of a Windows environment, but for day-to-day operations, it boots into a custom menu system and goes right into the video switcher itself. So it's not designed, obviously, for general surfing the web. You don't want to do that. Don't want to download any malware or anything like that. It does support single stream, as I said. Normally, you'd want to run with a rollover stream, so you'd want an external encoder of some type, whether that's running separate Mac with maybe Wirecast running on it, a Teradek encoder, or some other encoder externally as a backup, or run the encoders separately itself. So you can take the live HDMI program feed output into multiple encoders and run the encoders separately, which would be my preference. I don't like to keep too many eggs in one basket, but and that also will cut down on the processor utilization on your video switcher. So that's it in a nutshell. It's a very compact, full-featured TriCaster. They didn't skimp on anything here, which is great. You have a lot of input options, a lot of output options. The 4 separate input options is enough for most environments, unless you're doing, if you're doing a live show that has a lot of cameras. Obviously, it's a big ballroom. This is not that kind of a device. This is meant for more your small, medium-sized environment where you might have a ballroom with up to maybe 500 people in it. You've got maybe 3 cameras, and you've got an external feed from the projection system, which would be similar to the Mac that I'm running into it now, to take in any videos that they're going to project on screen, or application demos or something like that you'll want to stream out at the same time and record as well. Bigger ballrooms than that, bigger events, I wouldn't use this device. Also, make sure that you buy the new locking plugs, locking HDMI plugs. I'll have to look up the manufacturer, but there was a manufacturer that came up with a way a collar that snaps forward. It puts out 2 tines that come out, and that locks your HDMI in place, which is great for those of us who've been living in an SDI and BNC world for years and years. We like that locking connector. You know that you've connected the video signal, you've connected it, and it's not going to fall out. You're not going to get pulled out when somebody trips over a camera cable. The new locking connectors on the HDMI side do ensure that you have some stability in that, and I would say that they're absolutely necessary. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, full function switcher here with lots of capabilities. It has its own graphics. There are a couple of examples down here of different lower thirds, so they give you stuff to work from. You don't have to start from 0 if you're making lower thirds, which is wonderful. It has a lot of different I'll go over these just briefly for those of you who are all about switcher transitions. It has a lot of different transitions that you can put in here, some of them goofy, some not. They are make sports related scenarios. You create these externally, import them, and use them for your show if you want some kind of branded interface. So that's about it. All in all, it's a great little box for the money. Very portable. I'll say the device is quite small. You could easily fit the device, a smaller HDMI monitor, keyboard, mouse, and some hard drives in a Pelican case and ship it wherever you want it to go. And you'd be ready to get up and start switching in about 15 minutes, which is great. So I am going to take my adieu at this point. Thank you very much for listening. And I'd like to thank Encore, both TriCaster, NewTek TriCaster, and Encore Broadcast Solutions in Central Florida, particularly Russ Wengant, for coming out and allowing me to demo this unit. And again, thanks for your time.